do what I listen. This show means a lot to Melissa in a very different way of what it means to Teresa. I think, to your point, listen, I think anybody who watches the show can see that Melissa wants to be the top dog, and she has trouble with Teresa constantly winning in the end. And this, I'm gonna tell you, it was the season where Danielle Staub, one of my favorites of all time.
Yes,
it was the season where Danielle Staub, unfortunately, Melissa, like, Teresa told me to pull the hair. What I saw was this excitement of Melissa getting the tea. Like, well, she did what? And I think in Melissa's mind, she was like, oh, baby, it's going down.
Carlos King, the man once crowned as the mastermind of reality TV, has found himself living through a plot twist he never wrote. The same producer who built empires from chaos, who turned real lives into blockbuster drama, is now the one at the center of it all. But this time, the cameras aren't in his control. Reports say Carlos was kicked off national TV, and the fallout has been nothing short of explosive. From public meltdowns to shocking betrayals, this story has every ingredient of the kind of drama he once delivered. Only now, the script is about him. So what really pushed Carlos King to his breaking point? And why is everyone suddenly turning their backs on the man who gave them fame in the first place? Let's dive into the story that has reality TV fans talking, and Carlos fighting for his reputation like never before.
Keep it all the way real on this podcast today, because I am pissed. Robin admitting that she hid her story from the world on the show that pays you is a slap in the face to everyone involved, including the audience. And the fact that you have the audacity to go on your podcast to reveal this. We spent this entire half-assed season with these made-up storylines about Chris Bassett. And yes, I'm gonna say made up, because I allegedly was told that a few of the housewives had a meeting before filming about what the storyline was going to be, and that this Chris Bassett stuff was part of that conversation. I've always said there was something off about this season, and now I know what it is. None of y'all are living your real life.
For years, Carlos King wasn't just behind the camera, he was the camera. Every major moment in Black reality TV seemed to carry his touch. He knew how to capture the right emotion, stir up the right feud, and create television people couldn't stop watching. From Love and Marriage Huntsville to Bell Collective, Carlos knew what made the audience tick. He turned ordinary conversations into unforgettable showdowns. He gave Black women, families, and relationships a space to be seen, messy, raw, beautiful, and real.
Attorney is basically saying, if I'm in agreement to be in her presence or okay with having a conversation with her, it's okay.
But behind that success, there were always whispers, quiet talks of manipulation, emotional games, and people saying that Carlos didn't just produce drama, he provoked it. Some said he pushed cast members too far, while others believed he was only doing what everyone else in the industry did, creating television magic. Still, Carlos had always been untouchable, until now. The first cracks started showing earlier this year when reports surfaced that Carlos had been quietly removed from a major television deal. Sources claimed that the network had concerns about his behavior behind the scenes. At first, people didn't believe it. How could the man who gave networks millions in ratings suddenly be labeled a liability? But then, one network statement changed everything.
Raindrops. The word of the day is stop living in the past. The past is in the rearview mirror of your life. If you look at where you want to go, look at the wind.
In a shocking announcement, producers revealed that Carlos King would no longer be affiliated with certain national programming due to creative differences and internal review. In plain words, he was kicked off national TV. Fans were confused, cast members were silent, and Carlos? He didn't stay quiet for long. Psst. At first, Carlos handled it with calm professionalism, or so it seemed. He posted a brief message thanking his supporters and promising that bigger things were coming. But behind that polished post, insiders say Carlos was furious. This wasn't just a business move, it was betrayal. The networks he had made rich, the people he had put on TV, the brands that profited off his creativity, they were now cutting him out of the story.
Good, God is good, okay? So, in case you missed the other live earlier, I need a bag, so I had to. So in real life, I always call Marlo, okay? I always call Marlo when I'm out shopping because she is my person. So, you know, y'all get a chance to see who I am in my real life, not stuff you hear about. What did you say to me?
We love him.
You love me?
You gave us some good reality TV.
I know, because in real life, people love me.
Yes, we do.
Y'all can't believe everything y'all hear about on social media.
Nope.
I'm out here doing my big one, and real life people love me. So.
And soon, the calm cracked. During a live session on his social media, Carlos didn't hold back. His voice was shaking, part anger, part heartbreak, as he called out the industry for using him and throwing him away once they had what they needed. He said, "I built shows that changed lives. I gave people careers, and now I'm being treated like I'm disposable?" It was raw, emotional, and painfully human. For someone known for crafting other people's stories, Carlos was finally telling his own, and it wasn't pretty. But here's where things took an even darker turn. Just days after his emotional outburst, several former collaborators came forward, claiming that this downfall had been a long time coming. They accused Carlos of creating toxic environments, prioritizing ratings over people, and refusing to take accountability when things went too far. One former cast member said, "Carlos doesn't just make shows, he plays God with people's lives." The internet lit up instantly. Old interviews resurfaced. Clips were shared where cast members looked visibly uncomfortable, while Carlos pushed for more emotion or a stronger reaction. Suddenly, fans started connecting dots they hadn't noticed before. The man who once controlled every storyline was now trapped inside one, and it was playing out in real time. As the backlash grew, Carlos's name became one of the most searched topics in entertainment. Everyone wanted to know what really went down, and just like the shows he produced, there were layers: betrayal, lies, and a bit of revenge. According to sources close to the situation, Carlos's removal came after multiple warnings. There were reportedly heated arguments with executives over how far production should go to create drama. Some insiders claimed Carlos had been pushing boundaries that made even the network uncomfortable. Apparently, during one show's filming, a major blow-up between two cast members got physical. What viewers didn't know was that this moment had been allegedly encouraged by producers, and the blame landed squarely on Carlos's shoulders. When footage leaked online showing behind-the-scenes chaos, the network panicked. They needed someone to take the fall. And who better than the man already surrounded by controversy? Carlos tried to defend himself privately, but by the time the decision was made, it was too late. Executives had already signed off on cutting ties. The man who once had creative freedom was suddenly locked out of the very sets he built. But the story didn't end there, because Carlos refused to fade quietly into the background. He came back with fire. In another live broadcast that sent social media into a frenzy, Carlos called out what he described as industry snakes. His tone was unfiltered and passionate. He said, "You can't cancel what you didn't create. I was here before them, and I'll be here long after." It was a bold statement, one that divided the internet instantly. Some fans cheered him on, calling him a visionary who was being punished for his success. Others said it was proof that Carlos still didn't take responsibility for the damage his shows allegedly caused. Even other producers began weighing in. Some defended him, saying Carlos had changed the landscape of Black reality TV forever. Others admitted that his methods, though effective, were sometimes too extreme. And then came the bombshell. Carlos hinted that he might expose everything, all the behind-the-scenes deals, the manipulation, the hypocrisy of network executives who claimed to care about ethics but still demanded explosive ratings. That's when the industry got nervous. Because if there's one thing Carlos King knows better than anyone, it's how to tell a story that gets people talking. But let's talk about what this really did to him emotionally. Carlos may come across as strong and defiant, but behind that confidence, insiders say he's been deeply affected. Losing national TV wasn't just losing a paycheck, it was losing his identity. For someone who spent years defining the genre, being pushed out felt like a personal attack. Friends say he's been rethinking everything, who to trust, what went wrong, and whether the empire he built was ever truly his. It's a harsh reminder of how quickly fame and power can turn into isolation. The same people who once praised him are now distancing themselves. The calls have slowed down. The invitations stopped coming. And in the quiet moments, Carlos has reportedly started to question whether it was all worth it. The fame, the fights, the pressure to stay on top. Still, those close to him insist that he's not done. One insider said, "Carlos doesn't break, he rebuilds." And if history tells us anything, this might just be his comeback story in disguise. But here's the twist. Some people believe this isn't just a punishment. They say it's a setup. There's speculation that certain executives wanted to remove Carlos to make room for new producers who would follow their orders without question. A few insiders even claim that Carlos's growing independence made him a threat. He was no longer just a producer. He was becoming a brand, a power player in his own right. So, when the controversy gave them a reason to cut him off, they took it. And now, it's open war. Carlos has reportedly been exploring independent deals and streaming partnerships. Rumors say he's working on launching his own network, a space where he can create freely without corporate censorship. If that's true, this might not be the end of Carlos King. It could be the beginning of his next act. Still, the impact of this moment can't be ignored. For the first time, fans are seeing the man behind the curtain, not the confident showrunner, but the human being who's facing public judgment. It's forcing people to think about what really goes on in the reality TV world, the mental toll, the blurred lines between real and produced emotion, and how far people are willing to go for ratings. Carlos's story is now more than entertainment. It's a cautionary tale. It shows how even the most powerful names can fall when the game turns against them, and it reminds us that behind every viral moment, there's someone paying the emotional price. So, what happens next? Carlos King stands at a crossroads. He can either stay angry and let the industry define him, or rise again on his own terms. And knowing Carlos, the second option seems more likely. He's built his entire life around turning chaos into opportunity, and this moment might be his biggest transformation yet. In one of his most recent posts, Carlos wrote, "You can't cancel purpose." Those words hit differently. They sound like a man who's not done fighting, a man who's ready to rebuild, even if he has to do it from the ground up. Because love him or hate him, Carlos King has always known how to make people watch, and this time, everyone's watching him. Maybe that's the irony. The producer who created drama for a living is now living inside his own reality show, and no matter how messy it gets, you can bet he'll find a way to turn it into a story worth telling. So what do you think? Was Carlos unfairly pushed out, or is this the consequence of years of playing too close to the fire? Is this his downfall, or the start of his greatest comeback? One thing's certain, this chapter of Carlos King's life is far from over. The lights might be dim for now, but if there's one thing he's proven, it's that he knows how to make an entrance, and he's not afraid of a little drama. Stay tuned, because in the world of Carlos King, every ending is just the setup for the next big storyline.